So I wanted to finally finish my video on spiritual warfare and the truth about deliverance. The last time I was talking about when my husband and I we first got together, meeting each other in the world and deciding to live a Christ-like lifestyle. Once getting together, that was not easy because familial spiritual things that are in our family alike. And I definitely know that the enemy had plans for our life and wanted to give us resistance in that. And plus, it didn't help that we also were, being disobedient to God, wanting to live together, having our son, even though planned, having our son out of wedlock. And that would even, that increased the warfare even more. But since then, we've learned so much about the spiritual realm and fighting and winning, fighting demonic influences and winning. And a lot of that was resistance from that were met from our own family. A lot of people think that resistance or the devil can't use your family. Who else is he going to use? He has to use people closest to you, but that's not for you to get like defeated or discouraged because people are going to be people, right? So since then, we have learned so much um, about spiritual warfare and what happens when you begin to intentionally pray for different patterns and breaking them, different patterns that were taking place in your bloodline. Once you begin to pray for them and once you begin to become very intentional on breaking them, breaking different cycles, then that's when the enemy seems to rear his head even more. But that's to be expected and not to be, don't be discouraged. Do not be discouraged because you know that you are definitely doing some damage. It's working because why would the enemy be intimidated or stirred up if it wasn't, right? Why would things be amped up? You were in the world, your eyes were blinded, spiritually blinded. You became dumb and deaf to things of the spiritual world that were harming you. And your sinful nature, you kind of like put it off to the side, your convictions. But the minute that you decide that you want to, the minute you decide that you want to be intentional, you want to live a righteous, fully righteous and godly life, and that's when everything gets haywire, right? That's when all hell seems to break loose. But it's breaking loose of you. So that's why you shouldn't loosen your grip on the enemy because the minute you do, you feel like it's a crack. You feel like it's a crack in the doorway to come back in and bring even more epidemics, even more demons or spiritual warfare your way. So you have to don't give up. And even if after you feel like you've been delivered, like deliverance and repentance is a part of a Christian, part of a Christ follower's lifestyle. It should be like ongoing. It should be something that we turn to daily. But with that being said, we decided to move. Well, my husband, he started having dreams about, he's always wanted to move back. We're both from Trinidad. He's always wanted to move back home in Trinidad, but the God started showing him visions to where he should actually should move. And so, like, that was no coincidence. Even though I met him with resistance, him telling us, well, we're not married yet. We are planning to. We were engaged prior to my son being born, but we are planning to be married. So he's saying that I want you all to come with me. If not, you could stay here. It is not right that we're not married. So he does understand. Or come, take a look, and go back. Well, I prayed about it, and I decided that I am actually going to move with him. I am going to make the move in the transition. At the time, at the time, so much was happening with my own family as well, where we were living, and you know, God, I definitely saw how God was in the middle of a lot of transitions in our lives, and I just figured I am going to pray about it, and I will go with him. We had our son's into I decided that all the while I would be praying and getting confirmation from the Lord. I had a business where we were currently living, so it was a lot of confirmation that I needed to receive. But that being said, I kept praying, kept fasting, and it became more clear why God would want to make a move like that for us. When He's doing a new thing, like you're too familiar where you're at, like you're way too familiar where you're at, and when He's taking you, those people of your past hang on to that version of you. Yes, so the more I prayed, I became open to, those new beginning, and I wanted to embrace that. I just saw that, oh my goodness, like once the move happened, I saw how reasons why the Lord would want to take me out of what I was currently doing. I see why He would want me to, you know. And even I myself saw how, there's different things that you notice about what's going on with you, but you try to kind of like put it off to the side. I noticed how it's so much I was learning back where we live. It's so much I was learning. And in my line of work, I see people and, I have to pour into them. And I absolutely loved it. It's a passion of mine, making women feel good about themselves. And I loved it, right? But I can see how, like, it's an access point, it's an access point. And when you're vulnerable and when you're going through something and having to re-pour back into people, like sometimes you have to take a break so you can heal yourself. Also, how, if anything, that the Lord would absolutely use the opportunity for healing to take place and restoration and rest, which is actually the meaning of my son's name. God told me the name. It actually means rest. So that is absolutely what He brought to our lives. I accepted the idea of change, and I have seen the work of the Lord, and He's still working, and I'm still being patient with our process. But I've seen where He has completely brought restoration to our lives, spiritually, financially, emotionally, physically. I've seen the work of the Lord. So I just want to encourage everyone today, if you are going through something, personally or with your family or just relationships in the whole, it could be like friendships or platonic or romantic. Just, when you're met with strife, first look within. First look within is sometimes, not sometimes, all the time, is so much that we too have to do so we can grow. You know, so we can grow and there could be lessons. It could absolutely be others' fault, but a lot of times if you start with yourself, it takes away a lot of your contention and your focus off of the people, and that's where you can have, you make room to grow. You should always make room to grow and start with yourself. The pressure becomes lighter, and when you're starting with yourself, that's when you're like surrendering to God. You're giving it to Him, the problem with them to Him, and so now it's just you and Him, right? So even if it's a problem with them, you're able to grow. You're able to know how, find opportunities, seek the Lord. He will give you opportunities. The fruits of the Spirit is all you need a lot of times, every time, every day. The fruits of the Spirit, you have that. You'll be patient with people. You have long suffering. Have self control, not to obsess and control things and put it in your own will and your might and your power to do it. That's when you get frustrated with others. It's inevitable that man will fail us. That's why we should not trust man. We should trust God, and that's half the battle right there. Your trust in others is inevitable for man to hurt you. Men, meaning men and women, right? It's inevitable for people to hurt you. It's inevitable for you to hurt people as well because you're human just like them. So the same grace that you want others to give you, you should extend it to people. The Bible even says we should forgive others so that the Lord can forgive us. can be expecting God to forgive you if you don't even want to forgive others, right? So I just want to encourage everyone who's going through a tumultuous time. It seems like with people and relationships or just situations around you, it just seems so heavy and it seems like it's one after the next. Just stay encouraged, stay prayed up, read the Bible also because there's so many examples in there. There's so many stories that you will find your story in it, right? We're not the people, but we find similarities of our story in it. See where they have triumphed and they have overcame, right? And stay prayed up, and God loves you. I love you, and His glory shines upon you. Don't ever forget that His glory is on the inside of you. And with that being said, we are made after His own image. So that same throne, that same power that God used to create us, we have within ourselves. So,
You are my source. Of